In Greek mythology, griffon vultures are the servants of the gods, carrying the souls of the dead into the endless universe. It is easy to see why the ancient Greeks linked these huge birds to death, for they are indeed the undertakers of the countryside, feeding on dead bodies. Despite these somewhat unpleasant eating habits, griffon vultures have a majestic, wild beauty. It is in the air that these vultures inspire true awe. Effortlessly riding the rising thermals of warm air, they can float to huge heights, reaching the clouds. Such displays of aerial prowess are continuous, with the birds dropping and rising through the sky as if in aerobatic competition with one another. It is a truly enviable mastery of the skies. Impressive as they are in the air, the griffons are just as imposing as they sit on the high cliffs they choose for resting on. Perched on a high ledge, they look like the vigilant guards of an impregnable medieval castle. The griffon vulture is the largest native Cyprus bird. It can weigh up to 8 kilograms and reach up to 1 meter in height. Despite this bulk, the vulture can cover great distances in the search for food. The bird's vast, powerful wings are of course a huge help in this. The vulture's wingspan can reach 2.5 meters, and the bird's mastery in using these huge appendages would be the envy of even the most modern and high-tech of man-made flying machines. Historical accounts and past records suggest the vultures were once abundant on our island, with hundreds found in almost all areas. More recently, however, a combination of food shortage and carcasses laced with poison and left out illegally to kill corvids and foxes have led to a dramatic reduction in vulture numbers. The poison bait is a particularly insidious threat, as the vultures, which are exclusively carrion feeders, are often drawn to these death traps. Thanks on the high cliffs of Episcopi Bay, within the British bases area. The military status of the area and the good work being done by the British Bases Environment Department ensure that here, at least, the birds are safe. 2 or 3 pairs of vultures nest on the Episcopi Cliffs most years. Nonetheless, the danger of these majestic birds disappearing altogether from Cyprus is ever present, with the threat of poisoning looming ever large. To find their food, the vultures have to leave the relative safety of the Episcopi area and venture further afield, to parts of our island where controls on the use of poison bait are not always as strict. Traditional breeding sites. This site is the impressive hanging cliffs of Agios Ioannis, as it is actually the only river in the whole of Cyprus to flow all year round. Experts from the Forestry Department, the Game Fund, the British Bases Environment Team, the Veterinary Department, and local Conservation Society BirdLife Cyprus are formulating an ambitious plan to bring to Cyprus young griffons from faraway Spain. Spain is the only European country that still has large numbers of the species. These young vultures would be kept in large holding pens till they were ready to be released to bolster the local population. Once the sick birds are recovered and ready to fly, the protection team will place special rings on their legs with large, highly visible numbers marked on them. This will make it easy to recognize the free-flying birds after they've been released. The birds are also fitted with special lightweight radio transmitters, so they can be tracked with radar devices. Another method used to ease identification of the released birds is to paint some of their large wing and tail feathers white. Different feathers are painted white on different birds to render them individually recognizable. All this makes the vultures easy for organized observation teams to record when out on expeditions to the remoter parts of our island. These recordings are collated and analyzed by the vulture protection team. Such marked vultures have been sighted floating around the Episcopi Cliffs, offering an impressive view for all. And there he is. That must be Eandas circling over the cliffs in that distinctive, leisurely manner. The whitened front feathers on the left wing give him away. A bit later, he will cross paths with Aphrodite, who is flying in the same area, and later still with Adonis and Icarus, also floating above the cliffs. A highly social creature, the vulture lives in colonies on high cliffs. The last remaining such breeding colony is on the cliffs of Episcopi, a stone's throw from the homes of British bases employees. Vultures are usually mountain birds, and the Episcopi colony may be the only one in the whole of Europe to be found along the coast. The cliffs are a truly magical place, with a horseshoe bay being entirely gliding over the heads of golfers as they tee off. Further down, another vulture pair has nested on the cliffs right above the bay's small fishing shelter. At this time of the year, the birds are busily making repairs to the nest, coming and going from the ledge all day long with twigs and branches, again passing low over the heads of the local fishermen. Colony of the well-known Eleonora's falcons. These elegant raptors arrive from Madagascar in their dozens to nest on the same cliffs as the vultures. The falcons and vultures are forced to share this limited cliff nesting site resource, and it is not always a happy coexistence, as the Eleonora's falcons often prove a serious nuisance for the vultures, and the young vultures in particular. The speedy falcons seem to enjoy diving right in front of the vultures for no obvious reason. The vultures are too slow to react and are stuck with putting up with the disturbance from the falcons. The falcons seem to be just as annoying to the owls in the area, which peer at them with glaring eyes. Surely the foxes cannot enjoy it either, as the Eleonora's falcons dive in front of their dens. The other bird to notice is the Cyprus warbler. The male can easily be seen calling from the tops of bushes, trying to attract the attention of a female, who is usually hidden in the thorny scrub. The warblers make their nest amongst the abundant thorny bushes in the habitat, whereas the wheatear prefers to use holes in banks or tree trunks. The more observant among visitors have the chance of sighting the rare wall creeper. The creeper floats about in its strange butterfly-like flight, seeking out insects from the crevices in the rock faces. The same cliffs are home to many jackdaws and feral pigeons. The pigeons appear worried by a pair of peregrine falcons patrolling the area, and with good reason, for pigeons are among the favourite prey. Refuge in the depths of dark caves is a large colony of Egyptian fruit bats. Cyprus is the only home for fruit-eating bats in the whole of Europe. As evening falls, they leave their caves to raid the nearby orchards for fruit. The site is also a major draw for local and visiting birdwatchers, with the vultures always at the top of their must-see lists. So once a mate is chosen, that is it for the rest of their days. The mating season lasts for about a month, and the displays are almost ceaseless during this period. Coupling takes place within the nest itself, as it is being fixed up for the new season. The nest is built on a cliff ledge, with the branches of trees and bushes collected from nearby being the building materials. The collection and carrying of this nesting material takes a few days to complete, and both parents undertake the task. The nest is lined with softer materials such as dry grass and fresh pine needles. The vultures, using their body weight, press this bedding material down to create a neat hollow, within which the egg and the chick that hatches from it will lie, prized nesting material. Between January and March, the vultures produce their single white egg, about the size of an orange. Both parents share brooding duties for about 52 days. Having hatched, the young vulture will remain in the nest for 4 to 5 months, enjoying the care of both parents. One of the parents is always present to keep the youngster company on the nest. On this very hot day, the youngster needs careful shielding from the scorching rays of the sun. The vast wings of the parent bird provide ample shade. The chick is forever pecking at its parents, demanding food the whole time. The parents regurgitate for the youngster the partially digested remains. The third is found among the crevices at the edge of their cliff nesting site, but this provides water only during the wetter months of the year, when it is indeed the most convenient watering site. A few weeks back has grown into a plump youngster the size of a plucked turkey. Its demands for food are increasing rapidly. One of the parents is off looking for food, and the youngster eagerly anticipates its return. Having satisfied ourselves that all is well with the nest, we decide to return a month later in the hope that we might witness the successful completion of the bird's second attempt at a first flight. Released, the young bird takes a few tentative steps towards the edge of the cliff. The hesitation is obvious, with memories of the first unsuccessful flight perhaps the likely cause. So will the young bird take the plunge again? Suddenly, the youngster spreads his huge wings and launches himself off the cliff.